Prepare yourself for a jaw-dropping journey through Hollywood's golden age, where glitz and glamour often concealed the most scandalous truths. Today we dive into the life of Marilyn Maxwell, a name synonymous with charm, talent, and yes, controversy. From her rise as a small-town girl with big dreams to her whirlwind romances with some of Hollywood's most iconic stars, Maxwell's story isn't just about fame, it's about resilience, reinvention, and the secret affairs that kept tabloids buzzing. But what drove this captivating starlet to live on the edge? And how did her relentless pursuit of stardom shape the highs and heartbreaks of her career? Stay tuned, because this is a story you won't want to miss. Marilyn Maxwell is living proof that the glamorous surface of a Hollywood star often conceals a far more chaotic and provocative reality. Long before her off-screen life became the focus of whispered rumors and disapproving gazes, she was an energetic child growing up in the quiet fields of rural Iowa. When she was just 3 years old, her parents enrolled her in dance classes, believing their bright-eyed daughter was destined for more than small-town life. As she worked to perfect each step, she also discovered a genuine love for the performing arts, one that would eventually carry her all the way to Tinseltown. In her early teens, Maxwell took on a small but pivotal job at a local theater. She hadn't stepped on stage to perform just yet. She was only an usher, but each time the lights dimmed, she felt the electric energy of the spotlight calling to her. Traditional schooling quickly lost its appeal as her fascination with show business took over. Instead of finishing her second year, she made the bold choice to join a band as a singer. In those days, quitting school to pursue a performance career was practically scandalous, but Maxwell seemed determined to follow her own path, no matter how unorthodox it appeared to those around her. That risky decision paid off faster than anyone could have expected. While still a teenager, she earned a spot on national radio. With a voice that was both melodic and soothing, she quickly gathered a faithful audience, even as her old classmates were still working toward their high school diplomas. Instead of stopping there, she continued to push boundaries, convinced that she had much more to accomplish. She soon realized how correct her instincts were when, in 1942, an MGM executive happened to hear her perform and offered her an acting contract. Hollywood in the 1940s ran on a blend of star appeal and clandestine business deals, so it's anyone's guess precisely how the arrangement was sealed. The only certainty is that her signing launched the next phase of her extraordinary and often scandalous life. Upon joining MGM's roster, Maxwell confronted the realities of the studio system. Executives wasted no time pressing her to rebrand. Her given name was Marilyn Maxwell, but for a corporation like MGM, Marvel sounded too odd. They insisted on trimming it down for better marketability. Maxwell agreed without fuss, letting Marvel fade away to make room for the fresh, sparkling stage identity. Marilyn Maxwell. For a woman who had already walked away from her hometown and her education to chase the bright lights, abandoning one more piece of her past simply became part of the package. The way Maxwell handled these transitions hinted at a broader pattern. She rarely backed down from a challenge, whether that meant leaving school to sing with a touring band or giving up her real name at the studio's request. She seemed fearless, ready to do whatever it took to secure her footing in an industry notorious for chewing people up and spitting them out. Little did anyone know that the path ahead, along with the secrets she would soon collect, would prove more dramatic than anything Hollywood could script. Stepping into her new world, one thing was obvious. Marilyn Maxwell's transformation had only just begun. Marilyn Maxwell had barely settled into her new name when she made another striking choice at the urging of studio executives. She dyed her hair platinum blonde, This transformation completed the polished Hollywood image they envisioned for her. Still, to make the lasting impression she dreamed of, she needed to prove herself on the silver screen, and she was determined to do just that, even if she also found herself in a few off-screen predicaments along the way. That same year, with MGM's encouragement, Maxwell landed her first film role in a production titled Ready for Action. Critics, however, dismissed the film for presenting a sanitized Hollywood view of the ongoing World War II rather than showing any genuine portrayal of the real conflict. While the movie itself flopped, Maxwell's rising star emerged relatively unscathed. She retained enough sparkle from her radio success and her promising screen persona that audiences and producers still wanted more from her. Yet tragedy soon intersected with her pursuit of fame. In the early 1950s, Maxwell traveled overseas to entertain troops. During one of these tours, she received the heartbreaking news that both her parents had passed away. Though grief must have weighed heavily on her, she continued projecting a calm exterior, directing her energy into every professional chance she was offered. Acting roles began to arrive steadily. While she often found herself in secondary or supporting parts, she never seemed short of work. Films like Dr. Gillespie's Criminal Case and Three Men in White helped solidify her reputation as a confident presence, both striking and assured, on screen. However, one particular project would disrupt her life far more than she ever imagined. During the making of Lost in a Harem, Maxwell took on the role of a seductive cafe singer, and in that setting she crossed paths with stage actor John Conte. The two quickly fell for each other. Colleagues on set gossiped about their magnetic chemistry, guessing it was more than a casual fling. They were right. After only a few months of dating, the pair married in September 1944. Many newlyweds enjoy at least a short period of newlywed bliss before life's challenges set in, but these two hardly had a honeymoon phase. Rumors about why they clashed so early swirled and would later be exposed, leaving Maxwell at a crossroads in which her rising career and her personal life were already veering into instability. After just 2 years of marriage, Marilyn Maxwell found herself closing yet another chapter, this time divorcing Conte in a childless union that raised more questions than answers. If anyone assumed heartbreak would slow her down, they were wrong. She threw herself into her work, signing multiple film deals that kept her name illuminating theater marquees. One such role, in the 1948 musical Summer Holiday, helped cement her reputation as a versatile performer. But she soon faced a new type of scrutiny, endless comparisons to Hollywood's younger phenomenon, Marilyn Monroe. Whenever reporters asked about her similarities to Monroe, Maxwell remained outwardly composed. Still, the constant comparisons irked her. In one infamous interview, she referred to herself as the blonde who actually wears clothes, a bold remark for the time, clearly implying that she was more than just a glamorous figurehead and that she had no intention of letting Monroe's fame eclipse her own. Behind this witty facade lay the reality of Hollywood's unforgiving standards. Maxwell understood all too well that if she let her guard down, the industry would swiftly move on to its next muse. Yearning for stability, Maxwell married Anders McIntyre in 1950. To onlookers, it appeared she was turning a new leaf, a rising star, perhaps finally settling into a peaceful family life. That tranquility, however, didn't last long. Rumors spiraled when tabloids claimed Maxwell's close connection with comedian Bob Hope went well beyond professional boundaries. They had met through several USO shows, and soon gossip columnists were calling her Mrs. Bob Hope. While some starlets might have tried to bury the scandal, Maxwell faced it head-on, refusing to let whispers dictate her every move. Despite the glare of personal controversies, her professional momentum stayed strong. She co-starred with Hope in The Lemon Drop Kid, a holiday comedy, and even recorded Silver Bells with him, a duet so well received that it quickly became a Christmas favorite. Yet the film's light-hearted nature stood in stark contrast to the off-screen drama. As Maxwell's involvement with Hope became more obvious, her marriage to McIntyre disintegrated. The divorce left her vulnerable, but she refused to abandon the polished image she had spent years refining. Maxwell wasn't just famous for her voice or comedic timing. She had become a fashion icon in her own right. Wary of the power of public perception, she carefully picked roles that complemented her elegant, glamorous image. If directors or producers demanded compromises she found unappealing, she walked away. Some critics labeled her approach arrogant or unrealistic, but Maxwell viewed it as a vital strategy for longevity. By the time her second marriage ended, she'd persevered through personal storms, salacious gossip, and the general turbulence of Hollywood. Yet in interviews, photo shoots, and movie trailers, there she was, flawlessly styled, every platinum curl in place, radiating a poise that seemed unbreakable. Beneath the cool exterior was a woman determined to conquer Hollywood on her own terms, undeterred by failed relationships or unflattering comparisons to other blonde sensations. By the early 1950s, Marilyn Maxwell's life whirled between extravagant premieres, perpetual tabloid chatter, and the studio's demands that she maintain a perpetual glow. However, not even Hollywood glamour could mask the personal crises looming behind the scenes. One such problem was her deteriorating eyesight. Maxwell stubbornly refused to wear glasses, convinced that it would signal an admission of imperfection, something she felt her image couldn't sustain. Instead, she resorted to last-minute memorization of lines or discreetly squinting when the cameras weren't rolling. Along with vision troubles, the relentless toll on her famously blonde locks compelled her to start wearing wigs, especially for film shoots and photo sessions. Friends later recalled how she had a different style for nearly every day of the week. Yet all these accessories and coping methods couldn't shield her from a harsher truth. Her health was worsening. A serious illness forced her to acknowledge that she was neither invincible nor immune to the pitfalls of stress, constant travel, and grueling production schedules. Although she kept the specifics of her condition private, the experience shook her, perhaps for the first time since she was a teenager. Still, Maxwell continued to chase new roles. During this phase, she appeared in films such as New York Confidential, 1955, and Rockabye Baby, 1958. Though never quite scaling the peak of A-list stardom, her screen presence and flair for comedic moments endeared her to a core of dedicated fans. Recognizing that she couldn't keep spinning on Hollywood's hamster wheel without some semblance of personal stability, she married writer-producer Jerry Davis in 1954. For a while, the union seemed to restore some balance to her chaotic existence. They welcomed a son soon after the wedding, and motherhood appeared to soften Maxwell's edges, giving her fresh purpose outside the studio gates. Even so, she never vanished from the limelight. While juggling family duties, she pursued a role in the television series Bus Stop. Production snags and plot shifts cut her run short after just 13 episodes, but Maxwell refused to let a single stumble derail her. Around the same time, rumors surfaced that she had become involved with actor Rock Hudson. Friends hinted that their so-called relationship was a convenient arrangement for both parties. Hudson, they claimed, needed cover for his private life, and Maxwell, well-versed in showbiz trade-offs, saw the publicity advantages. Not every gamble worked in her favor, though. Her third marriage, too, ultimately collapsed, culminating in yet another divorce in 1960. Despite the pain, it confirmed a recurrent pattern in Maxwell's life. Whenever obstacles threatened to overwhelm her, she pressed forward. She contended with feverish scrutiny, punishing schedules, and frequent disappointments, but never ceased to adapt. Although her star power no longer shone as brightly as in her prime, she stayed in the public eye, appearing in small film parts, performing at vocal engagements, and making the occasional television cameo. For fans who had witnessed her on USO tours or watched her banter effortlessly on screen, she remained a fascinating figure, always reinventing herself just enough to keep her dream of stardom alive. As the 1960s gave way to a new decade, Marilyn Maxwell discovered that her once luminous appeal had started to fade. While some of her peers soared to new heights, Maxwell's career stayed in a lower orbit. She was still recognized and still found the occasional small role or guest appearance, but the bright spotlight that once followed her began to dim. Reports circulated that she was performing in New York nightclubs, not because she longed to return to live singing, but because she needed the work. For someone who had graced movie billboards and glided down red carpets at lavish premieres, this felt like a humbling turn of events. Yet Maxwell, ever resilient, kept singing for her audience, unwilling to concede that her best days might be over. Her struggles weren't purely professional. Behind the scenes, a series of health problems worsened. She suffered from lung issues and high blood pressure, complications made worse by habits she couldn't shake. Late nights, chain smoking, and the overall exhaustion of a performer's unpredictable schedule. Friends noticed she grew tired more quickly, that her voice, while still carrying traces of its old warmth, sometimes betrayed a weakness that hadn't been there before. Though doctors urged her to slow down, the woman who had been in motion since her teen years found the idea of taking it easy nearly impossible. The situation became more tangled when rumors linked her romantically with Frank Sinatra. They had known each other casually for years, but word spread that their relationship had turned into an affair. Sinatra's wife, Nancy, reportedly grew suspicious upon seeing Maxwell wear a distinctive diamond bracelet, a gift that seemed far too intimate to be merely a friendly gesture. The fallout was swift and painful, further tarnishing Maxwell's image and adding stress to Sinatra's already fraught marriage. By the early 1970s, Maxwell's health had deteriorated alarmingly. She attempted to keep working, but the pressure was undeniable. In March 1972, at the age of 50, she collapsed from a heart attack. She left behind her only son, Matthew, and an entertainment world that was startled to learn of her sudden death. Though she hadn't been on the front pages recently, she had maintained lasting friendships with major Hollywood icons. Figures such as Bob Hope and Frank Sinatra paid tribute to the vibrant young performer who early on had seemed poised to conquer the industry. While Marilyn Maxwell never achieved the highest tier of fame many predicted, she carved out a unique place in Hollywood lore. Her captivating presence, fierce determination, and high-profile entanglements with some of showbiz's brightest personalities gave her an enduring mystique. Even after she took her final bow, the whispers surrounding her personal life, her relentless work ethic, and her commitment to performance continued to fascinate fans. Her story, in many ways, remains just as intriguing as any film role she ever played on the big screen. Marilyn Maxwell's life was a dramatic masterpiece, a blend of triumphs, scandals, and moments that still captivate us today. From the glimmers of her early success to the shadows of her personal struggles, she showed us what it meant to live unapologetically in the spotlight. While her name may not shine as brightly as some of her contemporaries, her legacy remains a fascinating chapter in Hollywood's history. If this peek into her life has left you wanting more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Join us next time as we uncover even more untold tales of the silver screen.